A regular evening, a simple goodbye kiss, a light smile and a phrase that said everything without saying much. Don't wait up. It would have been just another night, if not for the silence. No photos, no calls, no laughter echoing from the bathroom when she returned. Just a cold phone screen and a name that unlocked everything once believed to be solid. He didn't cause a scene, didn't shout, didn't punch a wall. He started to listen, to watch, to gather. And when the picture finally came together, he didn't destroy it with rage. He waited. He planned. He became a shadow that saw everything. And then he struck, not with weapons, but with precision. One file, one click, and everything built on lies began to crumble. Her world, her mask, her perfection shattered against a truth she didn't dare admit even to herself. And that was only the first act. The real show was still to come. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends or family. It really helps my channel a lot. Please tell me in which city or country you watched this video. I value every one of your comments, so let's get started. It was a typical Friday night when my wife, Evelyn, my partner for the past 10 years, mentioned she was meeting up with some college friends. She carefully chose an outfit she loved, one that always highlighted her best features, and the excitement on her face was unmistakable. After a decade together, little outings like this had become common, barely worth noting. When she leaned in to kiss me goodbye and said not to wait up, I hardly gave it a second thought. "Have a great time," I said with a smile, watching as the door closed behind her. I had never had a reason to doubt her until that evening. The change was almost imperceptible at first, just a nagging sense that something didn't sit right. Normally, Evelyn would post photos when she went out, especially when she dressed to impress like tonight. But her feed stayed quiet. No selfies. No group shots, nothing. I brushed off the unease, telling myself she was just having fun and too busy to post. I cracked open a beer, sank into the couch, and tried to lose myself in a movie. But the uneasiness didn't go away. In fact, it grew. By the time the clock showed 1:30 a.m., I still hadn't heard from her, not a single text. That's when I crossed a line I never thought I would. I logged into our shared phone plan and pulled up her text history. The moment felt like trespassing, like I was stepping into territory that should have been off limits. But my instincts were screaming at me, and I listened. What I found confirmed everything I didn't want to believe. One name kept popping up over and over: Ralph. It only took a few scrolls to destroy the comfort of ignorance. Ralph wasn't some college friend. He was someone new, someone she had met online. Their texts revealed weeks of communication, flirty exchanges, personal confessions, pieces of her she used to share only with me. And now, tonight, she was with him. My stomach twisted as I read the messages. Nothing overtly sexual jumped out, but the emotional intimacy was unmistakable. They spoke in a way that suggested a long, growing bond. They shared jokes, personal thoughts, little moments. Then came the line that hit like a punch to the chest: "Can't wait to see you tonight." I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. This woman, my wife, my partner, the person I'd built my life around, had chosen someone else. While I was at home holding on to the belief that our marriage still meant something, she was out embracing a new connection. She came home just before 3:30 a.m., her entrance quiet and deliberate, her heels tapping lightly on the hardwood as if trying not to wake me. Her hair was tousled, and there was a faint trace of alcohol on her breath. "You're still awake?" she asked, surprised. "Yeah," I said calmly. "Couldn't sleep." I kept my eyes on her. "How was the night out?" She hesitated, not for long, but enough. "It was nice, just a few of us catching up. I didn't realize how late it got." I watched her closely. She wouldn't meet my gaze, instead busying herself with removing her shoes and lining them up neatly. That tiny act of deflection told me everything. "Who was there?" I asked, casually. "Oh, just some old classmates," she replied too quickly. "You don't know them." A lie. I knew exactly who had been with her. It was Ralph. Only Ralph. I held my tongue. I wanted to confront her, to demand the truth, but I didn't have enough, yet. I needed the full story. I needed proof, not just for peace of mind, but for something deeper, for clarity, for consequences. Over the next few days, I quietly began collecting the truth. When she wasn't looking, I sifted through her phone. I checked her social accounts, piecing together timelines. I learned how they'd met, through someone they both knew. The conversation had started innocently, then slowly grew into something more, something that edged me out of her life. I began cross-referencing her claims. The nights she said she was out with friends matched the messages she sent to him. It all fit too well. This wasn't a spontaneous lapse in judgment. It was an ongoing affair. Then one evening, while she showered, I found what I had dreaded most. A photo. Ralph's arm draped around her waist, her head resting on his shoulder. They were laughing, comfortable, close. That wasn't how friends looked at each other. My hands trembled as I stared at the image. My heart pounded so violently that I could barely think. Anger surged through me, but beneath it was a colder emotion, a focused clarity that cut through everything else. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't beg for explanations or apologies. That wasn't what this moment called for. I needed to do something different, something she wouldn't forget. So I began to strategize. I let her believe she'd gotten away with it. I stayed close enough to seem normal, careful not to arouse suspicion. All the while, I dug deeper. I researched Ralph, his social media, his job, his digital trail. He left clues everywhere. He had no idea what was coming. I invented a persona, someone who could plausibly exist in Evelyn's world, a familiar enough figure to seem like a mutual friend. Through that facade, I approached Ralph online, gradually building a believable digital rapport. Over time, I earned his trust, peeling back layers of his life without raising suspicion. He had no idea. Simultaneously, I installed hidden surveillance devices throughout our house, capturing every moment she spent messaging him. I archived their calls, logged their meetups, and documented every interaction. This wasn't about legal justice. I was orchestrating something far more calculated. I was waiting for the right moment. When Evelyn casually mentioned she'd be out for coffee with a friend, I already knew her true destination, Ralph's apartment. I let her leave without confrontation. But I wasn't passive. My final plan was already underway. I took the mountain of footage I had amassed and edited it meticulously, crafting a story with razor-sharp precision, a narrative steeped in betrayal, seduction, and a man foolish enough to covet another man's wife. I uploaded the video anonymously to a high-traffic social platform, presenting it as a case study in behavioral psychology. The response was immediate and explosive. By the time Evelyn returned home, the digital world had already turned against her. She was oblivious to the tsunami headed her way. Her phone lit up relentlessly, pings, dings, and vibrations from every app. When she unlocked it, her expression collapsed. Message after message, comment after comment, an avalanche of outrage. Her double life had been dragged into the harsh light of public scrutiny. The judgment was swift and unforgiving. "What is this?" she choked, paralyzed, horror settling into her features. I stood at the threshold, emotionless. "I told you not to wait up," I said softly, my voice even, though my insides twisted with tension. She looked at me, her eyes wet, trembling. "Was this your doing?" she murmured. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Her carefully constructed world unraveled almost instantly. Ralph disappeared, his professional reputation obliterated by the video's revelations. Evelyn was socially exiled. Friends ghosted her. Her social media turned hostile. She sobbed, professed her love for me, pleaded for forgiveness. But the line had already been crossed. I packed my bags and walked away without a word. The emptiness I left behind said more than any farewell could. That silence should have been the end of it. But as I drove off, our house fading in the rearview mirror, it struck me. This wasn't finished. She had lost her pride, but still held on to the house, the accounts, the life I'd built with her. That wasn't justice. 3 days later, while she was still drowning in public disgrace, I delivered the final blow. I transferred every dollar from our joint accounts into a secure offshore fund I had set up months earlier, back when I first suspected her. On paper, the money still belonged to her. But practically, she'd never touch it. Every transaction traced back to her login. After all, she was careless enough to leave her passwords scribbled in a bedside notebook. But I had one more card to play, and it was reserved for Ralph. One of my recordings caught him casually admitting to insider trading during a private dinner with Evelyn. That clip, intentionally withheld from the public video, was my ace. I sent it directly to his employer. The SEC opened an investigation within days. His co-workers, eager to save themselves, turned over even more incriminating material. Last I heard, he was facing 7 to 10 years behind bars. For Evelyn, though, I wanted something more intimate. My cameras had captured her most raw, unfiltered moments, the breakdowns in dark rooms, the slurred, tearful late-night calls, the bitter fights with her family. I assembled those into a second video, but this one wasn't for public eyes. I sent it directly to every contact in her phone under the subject line, "Your daughter, your friend, the truth." The backlash was immediate and vicious. Her father, a prominent church leader, publicly condemned her that Sunday. Her sister erased all digital ties, even reverting to her maiden name. The yoga studio where Evelyn worked part-time fired her, citing violations of their ethical code. And then came the final blow. I filed for divorce under our state's fault-based law. With my thorough documentation, the judge awarded me everything: the house, the vehicles, even her grandmother's prized jewelry. That prenuptial agreement she once laughed off? Not so funny anymore. I sold it all, donating the proceeds in her name to a local charity for infidelity survivors. A regional paper picked up the story, quoting me in a profile about perseverance and starting over. The last I heard, Evelyn was working overnight shifts at a roadside diner in the next county. Ralph's attorneys had burned through every possible appeal. As for me, I'm outlining a book. After all, a story like this, of betrayal, retribution, and careful execution, deserves a proper ending. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.